Houdini urges bill to curb mediums. Reid beats them at their own game at spirited hearing on measure. Houdini, the magician, appeared before the Judiciary Subcommittee of the House District Committee today in support of the Bloom bill to prevent fraud in fortune-telling. Never has there been so much disorder in the House District as during this hearing today. The room was packed with fortune-tellers, spiritualists, and mediums of every description, many of whom could not even gain admission, and who protested loudly against statements made by Houdini and members of the committee. Houdini did not do any of his famous tricks for the committee, but rolled a telegram into a ball and threw it on the table, challenging any of the so-called mediums to tell him what was written in the telegram. Reid crashes through. There was a dramatic pause. Several of the mediums carefully shaded their eyes and assumed a thoughtful pose, but did not answer. The tension was broken by Representative Frank R. Reid, a member of the subcommittee, who evidently had seen the telegram, for he said, "I can tell you it says I cannot come." At another time, when he was interrupted, Houdini challenged any of those present gifted with supernatural sight and knowledge to tell him what his mother called him when he was a boy. This information has not been given. The Bloom bill provides that any person pretended to tell where lost or stolen goods may be found, any person who, by game or device, sleight of hand, pretending, fortune-telling, or by any trick or other means, or by using cards or other implements or instruments, fraudulently obtains from another person property of any description, any person pretending to remove spells or to sell charms for protection, or to unite the separated, shall be considered a disorderly person. Any person violating the provisions of this law shall be punished with a fine not to exceed $250, or by imprisonment not to exceed 6 months, or by both fine and imprisonment. Ridiculous, says Gilbert. Representative Gilbert, Democrat of Kentucky, offered a motion to table the bill, declaring it to be a ridiculous proposition and too trivial to legislate upon. Representative Hammer, Democrat of North Carolina, argued that it would, quote, encourage every scoundrel in the district to go on with nefarious habits and pursuits, unquote. Representative Bloom, Democrat of New York, sponsor of the measure, said the bill had been held constitutional in New York. Houdini emphasized that the bill is not an attack against spiritualism. Fraudulent mediums collect fortunes, he declared, and a medium could make no money under the guise of religion. He offered a long list of names, commonly called a sucker list, used by fortune tellers and mediums, which contained a number of Washingtonians. Houdini declared that he could come to District of Columbia and get $200,000 or $300,000 fraudulently in a year and not be touched by the law. The District of Columbia is the only place where a person can be licensed for $25 to practice and blackmail the public, he said. There is not one legitimate one in the District of Columbia. Spiritualists oppose bill. Dr. James P. Coates, representing the Spiritual Science Church of Washington, vigorously protested the bill. Houdini was to appear later this afternoon before the Senate District Committee, where he will testify in favor of a bill sponsored by Senator Copeland of New York. Representatives of the spiritualist religion have informed Senator Capper, chairman of the committee, they will oppose the legislation unless it is so amended as to make sure it will not curtail or interfere with their religious practices. H.P. Strack, secretary of the National Spiritualist Association, has sent Senator Capper the text of a proposed amendment, stipulating that the bill shall not interfere with the exercise of the spiritual functions or offices of any priest, minister, or accredited representative of any religion, nor to affect the practice of the religious belief known as spiritualism. Another letter to Senator Capper states that if the bill is not killed, it should be amended to safeguard the religion of spiritualism. This writer said spiritualist mediums do not pretend to sell charms or remove spells, but do make prophecies.